Hey guys, welcome back to Win.
Where we heal.
Elevate and navigate this thing called adulting. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back.
Yeah. All right, hey guys. So I love a good Reddit read, and so I came across something that I would like to share with you guys. And
Looking
so
forward to it.
let's see what it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the question, and I also want to read someone's response, and I thought it was a great response. It says, "What do you wish someone told you during the darkest point of your life?" So you guys
Mm.
think about that as I read this
Mm-hmm.
this response. Someone said, it is the story is from, want to give credit, is get motivated,
Mm-hmm.
Exala 123. So it says, I wish someone told me that failure is just as important to who we are as success. Everybody always pushes us to succeed when we're young, and now that I'm old with grown children, I get it. Our feeling of success as a parent is fundamental tied to our children's success. Their ability to
Mm-hmm.
be independent, however, the truth is that in this life we will fail. We'll break things that can't be fixed. We lose precious things we can never get back. We'll hurt people who will never forgive us, and our dreams will sometimes take a beating or even get crushed out of the existence.
Hmm.
But the point of life was never about not making mistakes or not failing. That's an important and fundamental part of life. The point is how we deal with it, how we learn, how we grow, how it motivates us to be a better person, a kinder, more humble person with wisdom and
Mm-hmm.
understanding. There's a great line that says, good judgment comes from wisdom, and wisdom comes from poor judgment, or something like that. There's a Native American tribe that believes that luck is like stepping in tree sap. Sometimes it's good luck and sometimes it's bad luck. But before you can step in the other kind, you first have to wear off the other kind from the bottom of your shoe. Literally, walk it off. Don't let these troubles get you down. Trouble doesn't last forever. Just keep asking, what am I supposed to learn from this? Just remember that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the answer to the question takes a while. Walk it off, friend. I
That's a
thought that
good
was a really,
that's
really
some
great
good
That
response.
was a
advice.
good one. That
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
good.
That was
That
really
was really
good.
good.
Hmm. That's some good advice there.
So just me
And
thinking about it and what would I like for someone to say to me
Mm-hmm.
in my deepest, darkest time is that um, for me, basically would be that trouble don't last always.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of the first things that come to mind. I'm not one that need a long narrated um response from anyone, or like going into like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
this. I just sometimes it's just a, or just allow me to vent and then responding to that.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
little I that's that's really good to hear. I guess it's easier for someone who, maybe if there's someone who share,
Mm-hmm.
when they're going through. I know a lot of people don't really share when they're going through, so
Right.
you would just have to actually know that individual and say, okay, hey, something is off. But for me, I think just a couple of kind words would be enough for me. What about you,
Hmm.
Missy?
I think for me that was some great advice, but
Yeah,
I think for in addition to that, rather, for me, I'm not one who shares either. I'm learning to not suffer in silence. I'll say that.
yes.
Um, and I think for me, it's understanding that, or somebody saying to me, you are worthy of the things
Yeah,
that you want and desire in life. Um, in addition to what the writer wrote, the advice they gave, and just progress over perfection. Um, yeah. So, in addition to everything that's been said, I would definitely say, just some notes of, you are worthy of all the things that you desire, as well as, progress over perfection.
And can I add this? I
Mm-hmm.
do know that sometimes with giving all of that advice, some people still, it won't
Mm-hmm.
um stick to them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny that you're reading this Reddit, because I had a chance to speak with one of my good friends
Mm-hmm.
the other day, and she was just sharing with me that she's been married for a while, and she was just saying that when she looked back on why the reason why she's stuck in her marriage, she said, it was just you know she I always have to question herself, like, okay, why did I stand, and
Mm-hmm.
or why did I stick in here? And she said it was because of um how let me see the word that she used. It was self-esteem, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she was telling me that she wished that her self-esteem was on another level, to
Mm-hmm.
where she would be able to say, I can walk away and it will
Mm-hmm.
be okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could go anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be a
Mm-hmm.
marriage. It could be your
Right.
family members. It could be a job that you're on, and
Yeah.
not having the self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
or the knowledge, or even the feeling that I can go somewhere else and I can do better than what I'm doing here, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because I have what's in me to
Right.
survive, you know.
Absolutely.
So I'm a swim. I'm not gonna sink, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you shared that Reddit, because it was right on time, and it aligns
Yeah.
with what I actually heard from her. But even though we may share that with a loved one, or sometimes it have to come from within. You
Yeah.
know, you have
Mm.
to feel it within to know that it's okay. You're going
Yeah.
to survive. And um also just have those close friends that are staying there with you. It's one thing to say it to someone, and it's
Mm-hmm.
another thing to feel it.
Right.
So to feel that, okay, it's gonna be okay, or that I have that support that I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what
That's
about you,
good.
Tashifa? When you read it, what was your thoughts?
So like it really resonated, right? It was
Uh-huh.
like, wow, like what would I want to hear in my darkest moments? And I kind of think that the person that I married, right? My husband kind of balances me out perfectly, because sometimes I can
Hmm.
get in my head and then I could just go rapid and not believe in myself or not believe in this vision, or I could have like this grand idea and then I will talk myself out of this idea that I know I can do, and he pushes me like,
Yeah.
you like when I feel like I can't do anything. I'm like, well, didn't you just do this? Like, and then he'll bring up all the things that I've done. Like, you can.
Oh,
And so I think,
that's amazing.
yeah, so I think sometimes, um, just like you said, just knowing that you can, and having someone, or because I'm like Missy, I'm not a sharer, but I think that sometimes my facial expressions or my mood can
Mm-hmm.
point those things out that I'm not saying. Because I mean, I remember I was going through something, and Missy was just like, "You look tired." And I had been going through something that I had not shared with her. I had not, and I believe I shared with you that day, Fab. It was something that I had
Hmm.
been going through, and I had not shared it, but apparently, like my face, and so just having those people that can just see those signs and talk to you in your darkest moments. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you for sharing
Thank you
that.
for sharing that. Keep them
Yeah,
coming.
so at the time of this recording, we have released what, 2 episodes now? And so, Fab, did you have any feedback from the episodes that was being released? Anything in the comments stood out to you regarding the last episode that was published?
You know what? It's funny that you say that, because I did have someone reach out to me, a good friend,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, I like salt in my grits.
Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell her.
And I said, okay, salt in your grits, it's a no for me. I still have the text message. I was like,
Mm,
salt in the grits, yeah, I can't do the salt in the grits. But she said
your
she likes
friend know
salt
what's
in the
up.
grits.
She know
And then
what's
I
up.
had someone else call me out on not knowing how to play spades.
We're gonna have to get you
So,
together.
so I am making it one of my
Mm-hmm.
goals for 2025 to learn how to play spades. So we're gonna have a girls' day, and Missy is gonna teach me how to play spades.
Wait,
Listen.
and we're gonna add the grits in there too. So it's gonna be a
And
day
we
where
gotta
we
add the
play
grits. We're
spades.
gonna have to add the grits with the butter and sugar, and grits with the salt and whatever else she would like to
Oh
add.
man, that's funny.
Yeah.
I like the
That is
girls.
so funny.
She knows what's up. She knows what's up. Salt in the grits.
I'm
Yes,
waiting on the
ma'am.
sugar comments. Come on, sugar people,
No,
slide
I
on
had a
in there.
Mm,
coworker that
mm-mm.
says that it's definitely sugar. So yeah,
Yay!
you got a vote there.
Mm-mm.
All right, coworker. I'm
So
loving
we
it.
need somebody else to break the tie. So I think we need to move that spade training and grit month sooner. So we can go ahead and break the tie. I think that's what
All
needs to
right.
happen. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead, guys, and get into today's episode. If you
All
probably know
right.
by the title, today's episode is about budget basics.
Okay, you guys. So today I would like to talk to you about debt
Mm-hmm.
and paying it off. I wanted to just provide a couple of strategies that you could use in your everyday life to help you reduce debt. Because in this day and time, everyone I come across have some form of debt that they're trying to get out of. And then we all
Amen.
know that paying off debt requires strategy and
Mm-hmm.
discipline. So here are several ways that I've been able to find, and some of them I've actually used to help pay off debt. So the
Mm-hmm.
first I would like to cover is just prioritization strategies. So with this one, I have a couple of the ones that I really like. So it's about three that I wanted to talk about today. And the first one is debt snowball. So with the debt snowball method, you're going to pay off your smallest debt first
Mm-hmm.
while making minimum payments to all the other cards. So you have this one card, it's $500. Your other card, you owe 1,000 here, 2,000 there. You're going to put more money towards the $500 one to hurry up and pay
Mm-hmm.
that one off. And once you pay it off, then you're going to take your monthly payment. Let's just say, because we all know in this day and time, credit cards, monthly payments have skyrocketed. They are
Mm-hmm.
not the same low payments that they used to be. So you're going to take that payment, and let's just say that the 500 you were paying $50 a month. I'm just throwing a number out there. You're going to take that $50 now and whatever additional money that you were using to pay it down, and take that money and roll it into the next lowest one. And so on and so forth until you pay it off. This I
Mm-hmm.
have used before in the past. It actually works. So definitely give that one a try. The next one is the avalanche method. And this is for the individuals who are saying, listen, these high interest rate ones, I want them
Mm-hmm.
done and gone. So with that, you'll take your highest credit card and you'll start paying more money towards that one, pay that one off, and then go into the next highest credit card, and so on and so forth until they're paid off in full. One of my favorite ones is the balance transfer method. Okay, so this is when you where you open up a credit card. But now, listen to me, guys. You have to have good credit to do this. If your credit isn't where it needs to be, then you got to go find somebody to help you fix that credit. So,
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to do with this method, you're going to open up a credit card that have, let's just say, no interest for 18 months or 16 months. And you're going to move your high interest credit card debt over into that credit card, and then you're going to pay it off because now you're not paying any interest, you're only making that monthly payment, and that will help you pay off the card. So, and if you're not able to get it paid off within 18 months, you can always, a lot of banks, a lot of companies, they send you offers in the mail because you still have that other card open. So they'll say, hey, if you transfer any debt, we'll give you 16 months,
Mm-hmm.
no interest. And I've had that happen before. So guess what I did? I didn't get a chance to pay that off. So I rolled it right over to that, back to that other one, and was able to pay it off with that one. So don't worry about, how much it is. Work to pay off as much as you can at that time, and then roll it back over to the other one. The next one is increasing. This section is on increasing income and budgeting. This is all to help you decrease your debt that you owe. So Side hustles is one. I'm only going to go high level with this one, but with side hustles, take on a freelance work, some type of gig, an additional job, or sell unused items. With unused items around the house, this is something that I personally done myself. I went around, found some things that I didn't need anymore, took those items, I put them on. Poshmark was for my clothes that I didn't need, or I wasn't wearing. I sold a lot of clothes and shoes on Poshmark and purses. And then I also was able to use OfferUp as well to sell some of my items as well. And that I didn't use that to pay off debt because there was nothing I needed to pay off. But you can use that money to pay off debt. What I did instead was use that money to invest it. So that's another way. If you're looking to get into investments, you can use that money for that. So then another one is just lowering your interest rate. But in this day and time, I've noticed that reaching out to the credit card companies, it's not the way it used to be where you were able to negotiate your interest
Mm-hmm.
rates. They're not budging.
Right.
So that is one of the ways that used to be a great way in the past, but it's just not that good today. And then there's extreme measures, okay? And I'm just going to cover one of those. Downsize your lifestyle.
Mm,
How many
yes.
of you guys go to Starbucks
Mm-hmm.
every morning to get that cup? Take that
Yep.
Starbucks change, multiply it by how much you spend daily, and guess what? You may have hundreds of dollars, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. Think about all of these methods that I shared, and if you're in debt, get out of debt. And if you are, please let us know down in the comments which method you like best or which one you've used before in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some good stuff, Fab. I've used several of those methods in my financial help overview, the avalanche, the snowball effect when it comes to paying down debt. So those are definitely some good things to highlight for the audience. I would definitely say, in addition to that, if 2023 through 2025 has taught us nothing, it is having some extra money on hand. And so
Agreed.
next we're going to talk about savings accounts and the different types of savings accounts, and why those things are important. Um, with the layoffs and things like that, or just in general, I would definitely advise anyone to, if you don't have an emergency fund, start one. I recommend a rule of thumb if you are a one person household to have at least 3 months, 6 months of savings and that's savings of your monthly expenses. Have those in a savings account, preferably a high yield savings account. If you are a two income household, 3 to 6 month range, but 3 months minimum of emergency fund. And where you can stash those emergency funds, you want to try and go and find you some high yield savings accounts. So I'll talk about a couple and kind of where they stand as of today's interest rates, because those interest rates do change as the economy and as the market change. So some of the most popular ones are SoFi. SoFi right now is currently offering a
That's my bank.
3.8% interest rate on their
Wonderful.
savings account, and you can open those with zero balance. There's no minimum balance that you have to receive that. American Express also has a great savings account. It's pretty popular. They have 3.7%. Same thing, zero minimum balance required. The one of the ones that I currently use at the moment is the Capital One 360 Performance that has a 3.7% with a zero balance. And the thing that I like about the Capital One account, and I think that you can also do with the SoFi account as well, is that you can have multiple savings accounts towards different things that you're saving for. You can have your emergency fund in one account. You can have your vacation fund in another account. You can have a rental fund in another account. You can have your
Hmm.
FU money in another account. And FU money is just a bucket of money that you can say, you know what, F this job. And you can have that saved into
You got
a
to save
separate
for a
account.
long time for that.
Listen, you never know now. That may be more important than a rental or vacation account. So people might be throwing a little bit extra in those types of accounts,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, So another one that is really popular now is the Marcus by Goldman Sachs. They are currently offering a 3.9
Mm-hmm.
percent interest on their savings account. So all of these are great additions to have once you've gone through and paid down some of your debt and things of that sort. And I would also say prioritize paying down debt as well as building an emergency fund, because you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
pay down all this debt and then something happens and then you can't make your rent, you can't make your mortgage or whatever the case may
Mm-hmm.
be. So I would say prioritize the two together um in your financial journey, because it's going to be very, very important as you are, getting your things together. Um, and I would say also spread your money across several different institutions, because,
Mm-hmm.
things happen and
Things
you want to make
happen.
sure that you have access to those funds and not lump everything into one institution and then it just, is wiped away. So I would definitely recommend, looking into that, doing your own research and your own due diligence to make sure that, you have your money in places that make sense and it works for you. And with that, I think we'll go into talking about, savings and investing as a part of like your financial growth, and so you all have access to retirement accounts with your employer. And if you don't, and if you're like a entrepreneur, you have access to Roths and IRAs as a small business or a big business or whatever your case may be. So there's several different financial institutions out there. Currently, I use Fidelity, Vanguard, and a couple of others. Um, do you guys have anything different that you're currently using in your brokerage, your investing journeys?
Well, well, I use Robinhood to kind of just play around in the stock
Yeah.
market a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then investments, I'm using, Vanguard and Fidelity as well. What I would say, just piggybacking off what Fab and Missy said, is about like setting yourself up for success. When
Mm-hmm.
trying to eliminate debt or trying to save, you need to know what's coming in, what's going out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Every dollar needs to be accounted for. So I
Mm-hmm.
did create, it's an annual budget sheet. Now
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you have to take the time to input those numbers. I did create it where it has the formulas and it will
Mm-hmm.
automatically calculate it for you. And so we'll make that available for you guys. We don't know if we'll have it attached or you'll just send us an email to our main email. So we'll figure that out so that if you are interested in learning how to take the time to sit down and put inside that Excel spreadsheet so you know what's coming in, what's going out, that's going to be a big way to help you eliminate debt and see if you have to use the snowball method or you have to use or you have the ability to use the avalanche method,
Mm-hmm.
because those are things that, because you're like, okay, I have this extra coming in every month, I can afford to put this extra towards this small card, or oh, I have enough to pay off that big card
Mm-hmm.
first, so that high interest card. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we'll have that available for you guys. But no,
Yeah.
that's
And for me, so the different accounts that I use for finances, like investing, I have a Merrill Edge account that where
Mm-hmm.
I invest. It's a good platform as well for you to go into and look into invest. And I also have Acorns. What I like about
Mm-hmm.
Acorns is that Acorns is like a one-stop shop. So with
Yeah.
Acorns, if you're not big on investing, a lot of people don't know about this, but I've sent
Right.
Acorn out to a lot of friends and they are loving it, family members. But with Acorns, they invest for you. So if you guys are new to investing or have been
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, dive into Acorns. The best thing about them, they do change roundup. So you
Mm.
don't have to have a specific dollar amount that you're putting in there. They're going to round up your change. You go in. Now, I will warn you, if you go in and set up that account and you don't specify how much roundup that you want them to do, you will see a lot of money come out of your bank account. So,
Oh.
so make sure you go in there and you specify, okay, I want this amount and change roundup. And it's pretty simple to do, but go in there, get that started. There's also a retirement in there. So if you work at a company that it's hard to get into their retirement, or what, they just don't offer a retirement account. Guess what? Acorns have that retirement account for you as well. So you can create a retirement account there. You can put, as some people say, I don't have the money. You have $5.
Yes.
I bet you went to McDonald's a couple of weeks ago. And if I don't eat McDonald's, but there's a lot of people that eat McDonald's.
Right.
Eat cookies
Yeah.
from McDonald's, but
And I
that's
think
about it.
people overthink investing,
Yeah.
and a
Yes.
lot of these companies are making it easier for you to invest. It doesn't take a lot to invest. The
No.
thing is, it's the time that you spend in the market. The sooner you
Yes.
start, the
The
better
better.
off you'll be, because the longer your money stays there, the more it grows and compounds and different things like that. And I think people just tend to overthink it. I just say out of sight, out of mind. And so all of mine is set up on automation. And so if I don't see it, I don't have it.
That's true.
And just leave it there, because I think Fidelity, I don't know what their minimum is, but it can be something like 25, $30 a month. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to do it in individual stocks or individual companies. You can use index funds. Me, I'm a lazy investor. And so mine is primarily different types of ETFs and index funds, specifically S&P 500. For Vanguard is BT.
Those are pretty
VTSAX
high
is the total
to get
stock
into.
market. Yeah,
Hmm.
Vanguard is on the expensive side. So I would definitely say if you are just starting out, then Vanguard may not be the best option, because I think the
Mm-mm.
minimum is $3,000 to start.
Hmm.
But Fidelity, they have a total stock market fund, and I think it is, I can't think of it right now. It's a total stock market fund. I'll drop it in the chat. But it's the same as Vanguard's VTSAX fund, where it's investing in the S&P 500 total stock market. So it has companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and different things of that sort. And so you're buying bits and pieces of all of those top companies, and you're investing in them as you buy those index funds and things like that. And so you can just set it up on an automatic payment. Robinhood is good because you can buy fractional shares. You can do the same thing with Vanguard. And I think also there's another one out there called M1 Finance. I think it kind of does the same thing
Hmm.
as Acorn. So that's a great one as well. And it just get started. The sooner you
Yes.
Yeah.
start, the better off you'll be. I think that's what we want to say. Just make sure you are getting your ducks in alignment and you are starting. And if you
Yes.
have the capability, automate. That way you can relieve the stress on yourself.
Yes. So I think for beginners, Acorns may be the best. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything about investing, who
Right.
to invest in, because even with Robinhood, even with
Mm-hmm.
putting with Robinhood, you're taking your money, you're putting it into account, and now you have to figure out who to invest in. So if
Yeah.
you're not good with that, but you're saying I'm
Yeah.
ready to start save money, get into that Acorns account,
Mm-hmm.
get that started. Another one that I've used is the U.S. Treasury. That one, there's
Mm-hmm.
no small amount, because and with this one it's bonds, so you're buying
Right.
bonds. So
Okay.
take a look into that as well. That's another one that I have found that has been very beneficial to me, is that. And then some banks also offer CDs, and right now
Mm-hmm.
is the best time to get in CDs since I've seen. The last time I was able
Mm-hmm.
to get a good CD was back in 2007. Well, guess what? Now it's back again. And you're able to put your money in CDs. It may be 12 months. Some now they offer 6 months. Some of
Yeah.
them don't offer any penalty for taking your money
Mm.
out early. So another way is to take that $150, put it in that CD and earn some interest money on that money. So
So for
that's
those of us
another
who
one.
don't know a lot about CDs, can you go a little bit more into that? Or
Okay,
just a high level on what
okay,
they
so
are?
Okay, so CDs, you guys, these are like certificate deposits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is, let's just say you have a bank. Let me give a good bank that I can think of off the top. I know Wells Fargo is one that offers CDs. A lot of banks offer CDs. I would
Mm-hmm.
say that your um, let's see, your credit unions would be probably the best route to go when looking for a CD,
Mm-hmm.
because credit unions a lot of the time offer more money. So it's just a certificate of deposit. With
Okay.
them, it just depends. With those, they do hold your money. It's not like a savings account, but they've made
Mm-hmm.
it they've like diversified it now. So now
Okay.
it's not how it was back in 2007. Back in 2007, you opened up a CD and your money had to sit in there for like 6 months or 12
Mm-hmm.
months in order for you to make money on it. Now they have them where you can put your money into this CD and then you'll make money off of that CD. So you just go log into your bank account and you look under services to see what all they offer and see if they have,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, they have it. If not, then we can go to our good old Google and search what banks offer CDs and see what rates they're giving those CDs at. But you can make good money off of putting to even just $150. Some of them start as low as $25, and you can
Mm-hmm.
continue to add on $5 while this CD. So let's just say, hey, I have $50. That's all I have. What can I do with this $50? Well, I would say take that $50, open up a CD with it, and then say every time you get paid, add $5 additional. Because guess what? The money is going to continue to earn interest on it while it's open. So you can have that 12-month CD and have
Mm-hmm.
started with $50, add $5 each month, and you're going to earn money on top of that. Great way to save. That's all I have, you guys.
So let me
Okay.
piggyback off of that CD, right? So think about it, like a lot of people are getting their income tax, right? It's money that
Mm-hmm.
you have not
Perfect
accounted
time.
for the
Yes.
entire year. So putting in that CD and then setting it up to not open until the next year when you're going to get more income tax, right? And then you just put in a little bit. And also if it allows you to put small amounts throughout the year, that allows you to save because again, when you have your income tax, it's kind of a great time to think about putting a little bit of money aside for yourself because it's something that's not in your
Mm-hmm.
paycheck. It's not something that you have budgeted for. It's just that little extra that you're getting at the end of the year. And it's a great time to think about a CD or investing. Also another thing about what Fab and Missy were saying about, Robinhood and how not knowing how to properly invest in things that you buy. Invest in things
Yes,
that
that's
um,
Yes.
it.
because you're contributing to the to that
Mm-hmm.
company. So those are things that you should look
I
into
still
when
want
you're
to see.
thinking about investing, or things that you're interested, or you're like, ooh, I really think this can go places, and getting a fraction of that share until you get a whole
Mm-hmm.
share. So again, just starting somewhere small, and building up from there.
Good, great
Yeah.
information, ladies.
Yeah,
Actually
for
taking some
sure.
notes for some of the things you guys said.
Yeah. So as we're thinking about that and we talking about, getting your stuff started, so starting with your budget to understand what's going in, what's coming in and what's going out.
Hmm.
First
Hmm.
things first. Setting up your emergency funds, right? I think
That's
everyone needs to
important.
Yes.
prioritize an emergency fund in this day and
Agreed.
age. Everyone's laying off from hospitality to big tech.
Yes.
Everyone's laying off, and you need to be able to have that money on hand. And then, if you have all that, or in addition to all that, make sure you're paying down your debt to make
Yes.
sure that the money that's going out is reducing. You're not
Yes.
increasing your lifestyle. And so when you've gotten all that set up and things like that, then you start to think about, okay, how can I set my kids up for success? And so
Hmm.
Tashika was going to talk us through some ways to start thinking about what you can do for your kids so that they can be ahead.
All right, yeah. So let me dive into it. So I use Chase is one of the banks that I use. And I really, really, really love Chase. So they have a couple of things that you can start as early as your child is 6. So the first account is called Chase First Banking. It gives
Mm,
them a debit card, right? And it's from 6 to 12. And so how this account works is it gives them options. So they have an app, you can download it. Again, as a parent, you're controlling it, but you're watching them navigate this. So this is
mm-hmm,
guided financial navigation is what I'm liking to call it. So it allows you, like, okay, I'm going to allow you, how much do you want to spend? So this is the money you're going to spend, and it has a place that says spend anywhere. It has an ATM amount, so you can control how much money they can take out of an ATM. And then if
mm-hmm.
they're saving, my son wants a motorcycle. Lord, pray for me. right? So you have a little option where you can say, okay, he's going to save for the motorcycle. So any money, say birthday money, he can say, okay, I'm putting
Mm-hmm.
$5 towards my motorcycle savings. And then also it has them when they do chores. Because it is connected to a parent account and you navigate that, you can pay them for $5 for their chores or $5, whatever you do, whatever you're paying them for, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't have any fees, any monthly fees for that. And then also another one is the Chase High School account. So this would be
That's a good one.
to navigate from the ages of 13 to 17. So you think about it, you have your Chase First Banking from 6 to 12 where you're teaching them how to navigate, how to watch their money, and then now they know how this is working. Then you give them a teen Chase account, a checking account, and it gives them a little bit more freedom where they can get Zelle and things like that when they're a little bit more financially aware and they know how to navigate those things. Then you can transition them over. And I think they're also offering, when you open that Chase High School account, they're offering I believe $100. So you open the account, no monthly fees, and you get $100 for opening. I say it's a win. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Let me ask you this, Tashiko. So on the Chase,
Mhm.
the fees, there's not really many fees. I know in the past Chase had a lot of like different banking fees that was associated with their account. Have they done away with those fees, or is it different for students?
For students, there's no fees, no monthly fees, no minimum balance fees. And I guess it's just kind of teaching them that financial literacy early, so they don't have to worry about those fees. But when you get older, those older accounts start having overdraft fees. But hopefully, by the time they've had those two accounts, they know how to manage their money better.
Right. Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
Capital One has the same, so it has like a teen account. So it,
Hmm.
it
Mhm.
pretty it does the same thing, no fees, and you can even um like put up what they need to save, like a savings amount and different things
Mhm.
like that. So I've used that one, so I do know about that one. It's pretty
Okay.
decent. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the only thing I've used is the Navy Federal Savings account.
Hmm.
And so those are the ones I use. I haven't um decided on moving forward with the checking account as of yet.
Hmm.
Maybe once
Yeah.
they turn 16,
Yeah.
turning them loose with a check card. But right now it's just been a savings account. But that's
Yeah.
that's good to know regarding the Chase and Capital One.
Right. So we're talking about checkings and savings for the kids and things like that. So what about, what are some ways for long term for kids when we're thinking about preparing for college, for those who don't want to go to college and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature? I know 529. I don't particularly have a 529 for my children. Do either of you have one for your kids for like educational purposes should they want to go to school?
Honestly, I'm not too keen on the 529s.
Hmm.
And the
Same.
reason being is because the 529 is only for college. And,
Right.
your child may go to college for, a semester or two. And I've known
Hmm.
some to say they no longer want to go to college. And
Right.
it's not, college isn't for everyone. It's a
Right.
choice. And
Hmm.
so not to go into that. So I just, the 529 is not the best for to me.
For right, right,
But
right, right.
I feel like for me, what I have used instead of the 529 is the savings accounts, and I have a
Hmm.
certain saving goal that where I want to be able to hand them this account over and say, okay, we saved you X amount to
Right.
use for expenses while in college. So we're doing really good with their savings accounts, and I'm kind of
Hmm.
proud of us and how we've done with that. And then the other is the Acorns. So
Right.
I created the Acorns for the
Hmm.
kids, and I have money, and the money that's in there is being invested. So
Right.
they've made a lot of money over this little
Hmm.
time. So, and you know that another thing that people can do, and it's just a thought to you guys, people can gift stocks.
Yeah.
Yes,
So if you
custodial accounts.
decide
Yeah.
you're doing really good in a stock and you have a
Hmm.
child that's going to college, you don't necessarily have to take that 529. You can say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna gift you these stocks.
Right.
Now, I would hope you use them for college, and if they
Mm-hmm.
decide not to go to college, it's okay, but now it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be on their own tax return and not on
Right.
yours by cashing them in. So don't cash them in. I've known people to cash them
Right.
out and then hand over a check. You don't want to do
No.
that because
Just
when the tax year
transfer.
comes, you will be beat down by that. So
Right.
definitely think about gifting stocks if you haven't started that account,
Mm-hmm.
but you are someone who invests, then consider gifting stocks to your children because you can do that.
Yeah, most definitely. I think a custodial investment account is the best option because your kids get to
Hmm.
learn the basics of investing, and the more that they grow, the more they see their money growing, they're going to want to learn more and
Hmm.
more. And so a custodial account, because they have full control over it, it doesn't necessarily have to be on school related items because I think 529 it doesn't necessarily have it has to be some form of school education or
Yes.
something like that. And so they can use that the way that they want to. And the custodial account, especially if you're starting it early, it has an opportunity to grow in the market. And so they're collecting all those capital gains and things like that. And then, I think 18 or 21, it goes over to them. You don't necessarily have to
Hmm.
cash them out, but I wouldn't. I would let that money continue to grow and just relinquish it to them so that that time in market can continue to grow and they can kind of, because by that time they built the skill set, they've built the foundation, and they know how to look and see what it is that they need to do. And even if it's just continuing to do what you've done and just let it automate, at least they have that muscle and don't necessarily have to start from scratch.
And there is one more that's outside of the 529, and it's the Coverdale Educational Savings Account. And with
Mm-hmm.
that one, it's better known as the ESA. But with that
Mm-hmm.
one, you're saving money from K, so from kindergarten through
Right.
12. And so you're able to use that money for school. What if they're in football?
Right.
What if they have, you know, a band and they have to buy a new instrument and, or you
Mm-hmm.
need to get them a car for school. You can open up one of those type accounts and it's actually used for kindergarten through the 12th grade and for
Mm-hmm.
college expenses as well. So
Right.
that's a really diversified account as well. If you guys want to look into that, I found
Mm-hmm.
it to be really nice, but I thought I'd share that one as well.
Okay.
You
That's
guys are
fair.
getting some
That's
really
fair.
good tips. Okay, this episode. Please let us know what you
I can
like.
go back
What
and listen to it and Google on your own, huh?
Okay,
Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Let me go over here and do this. And I think too, with this day and age and this economy and kind of how things are going, I think a lot of people are even considering retiring early. I know for me, I've been on my FIRE journey, and for those who don't know what FIRE is, that's
Yay!
financial independence, retire early, and I've set a goal, and I'm trying. I'm doing pretty
You're gonna
good
get
towards
there.
that goal.
yes,
I'm
you
doing
are.
pretty good
Yes.
because I just cannot see myself running this rat race at
Yes.
50, let alone 60 and
Yes.
70, And so with that, when we start to think about retirement and what's going on with the government, with, Medicare and Social Security, y'all got anything to share with the people about, just thinking about your future and kind of how you want to set yourself up then?
I do. I would like to talk to everyone about Social Security. So
Mm,
I feel like Social Security, there's a lot of people that don't consider retirement accounts and investment accounts because it's like, I'm just gonna retire and I'm gonna gain that Social Security check and that's
good
gonna
luck
be
with that.
it. Well,
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, after you sign in following these steps that I provide you today,
Hmm.
you're in for a world of
Rude
awakening,
awakening.
okay?
Yes.
Rude awakening.
Wake up.
Because that Social Security check, honey, is not mm-mm. It's not what's happening. The math ain't mathing. And
At
what I
all.
mean by that is that it's not enough money to pay your rent.
Mm-mm.
You are going to have to live with somebody if you're planning on, in this day and time, collecting Social Security.
Yeah.
So if you've never been on Section 8, but you're not retired saving for retirement in a 401k a or investing, go get on that list you need to go get on that Section 8 list now because I've heard the list is really long. I'm being funny, everyone. But
It
I'm
is
telling you,
really
you are going
long.
to
It's
need
very
it
long.
because you will not be able to afford
Survive.
living on your own with this
Yeah.
Social Security. The last time, so I remember years ago, I was reading a book. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Smart Women Finish Rich, and it's by
Mm.
David Bach. And so we will add a link to that book as well if you want to get it. But when I was reading it, the guy said in that book, and I'm going to say this was in 2008, but he said that you should have access to your Social Security account so that you could see how much you're projected to receive in retirement. And back in 2007 or 8, I think it was 8, I looked at it. I think I was going to receive like a little over 1100 a month. And I was like, how am I going to survive off of that? I
Yeah.
have a couple of friends as well that parents have retired and it's only receiving 600 a month. That is all the money that they're getting. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. That retirement, I mean, at Social Security, you have to know what you're getting. And that, if you look at that, I feel if a lot of you guys go out and look at that, it'll make you decide, hey, Missy was right. Tashikwa was right. Let me go and invest. Let me go and put some money into myself because I'm not going to be able to live. So let me give
Mm-hmm.
you the steps on how to get access to your Social Security account. So you need to go to the official Social Security website, which is www.ssa.gov/my account. From there, you're going to either sign in, but if you don't have an account, you're going to create an account. Okay, so if you don't have an account, you're going to select create an account, and then you're going to have to verify yourself. It's through ID Me. This is something that the IRS is using now
Mm-hmm.
and the Social
Mm-hmm.
Security Office in order to gain access to your accounts. So you're going to be asked to provide your Social Security number, your date of birth, current U.S. mailing address, and a valid email address. Okay. You may also need to answer some security questions just based on your account history. So you're going to set up your login credentials, create your username, your password, set up your two-factor authentication via text, email, or an authentication app. And that's just for extra layer of security, okay? And then after that, you're able to access your account. So I want you guys to go out there and do that. If you've never accessed your Social Security account before, let us know in the chat if this was a new one for you. And when you go and check it, let us know were you shocked at how much money you're going
Okay.
to be getting in retirement. You've worked all your life here in the
Mhm.
USA for them to literally give you nothing in retirement. You have to invest in yourself, you guys. That's all I have to say. You got
Yeah.
so just ask both you, Missy, Tashikwa. Have you guys looked at your Social Security? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I'm gonna be doing it after this episode, and I'm gonna be in the chat letting everybody. I'm probably gonna get $300 a month. I don't know, but we'll see.
Oh. So I have
Okay.
looked at my Social Security account, and me personally, I knew even before I logged into that account that Social Security wasn't going to be enough for me. Um,
Yes.
because so here's the thing. Growing up, I lived. Well, I'm not gonna say I lived, but I had family who relied on Social Security, right? And so I
Mm,
kind of knew what they were getting and
Yeah.
all of that good stuff. Granted, I didn't get any of that information until I got a little bit older, but I kind of knew what to expect with Social
Hmm.
Security, so it was never gonna be my fail safe for
Yeah.
yes.
retirement, right?
Hmm.
And when I went and looked into my account, I just proved myself right.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
one, it's never been my fail safe because I already kind of knew what folks were getting anyway.
Yeah.
And not to say I'm bougie, but that just ain't enough. And then
It's not
it just
enough.
isn't enough, you know what I
It's
mean?
not
And I
enough.
saw the struggle of people who
Hmm.
that's the only thing that they
Yes.
had, and I was like, nope, that's not the
Yeah.
lifestyle I want to live. And so, and then two, they had so many stipulations on what you can do to get extra cash, how much extra cash you were able to make, and all of that good stuff. And so I was like, so they want to give you six, seven, eight, $900 a month, and then if you make an extra thousand doing side hustles or just cutting grass and stuff like that, you then have to turn around and pay that money back and potential. It was just too much,
It's a
right? And
lot.
so I always knew. And then three, I didn't, because of how those stipulations were with the people that I knew. I was like, well, by the time I get old enough for Social Security, we probably won't have anything
Yeah.
anyway with
Mm-hmm.
how the government works and all of that good stuff. Like Social Security and Medicaid has been a on the top of the cut list every time. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just always thought it would never be around by the time that I got old enough to retire. And so it's never really been a fail safe of mine. And when I went to
Mm-hmm.
go look at it, I was like, you were absolutely correct.
Now I'm curious. I
And
never
so
thought to look
and,
at it.
and the stuff, the money that is there and that I continue to pay in, I still don't believe that it's going to be around by the time that I get there, you know? And
And
so go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, no. I was just gonna say, and to your point, it not being around, they keep increasing the age on
Exactly.
getting the
Mhm.
100%. It's like
Yeah.
it was what, like 61, I think,
Yeah.
years ago. Now it's 70 something. It's just
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
68. I don't know, but
I knew at one
I
point
agree.
a couple of months ago they were proposing 70 and I'm like, we don't even want to
Yes,
work until we 60. What do you mean 70? Like,
they saying there's good too many
no.
good looking 70-year-olds walking around here, so
Baby,
you can look that good at
no,
70.
no. And so that was one of the reasons why I was like, let me pursue this fire journey, and
Mm-hmm.
see how that goes. So if you have a job and you have access to 401k, I would definitely say utilize that, especially
Yes.
if your company provides a
Yes.
match for you. If at the bare minimum invest what you need to contribute what you need to contribute to get that match,
Yeah.
you know. So once you get that match, and if you feel like you don't want to contribute any more into that, because that one do have penalties and things like that to draw down early and all of that good stuff, then any extra, I would say, put it into your own individual brokerage account, your Robinhoods, your Acorns, and different things of that such. If you just don't want to, you know, put it all into the 401k, because that too has some controversy around it, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But I say at the bare minimum, contribute what your company would match if you don't want to do anything else. If your company has a 401k, bare minimum, contribute to the match so that you can get that, because it's essentially free money.
It
And
is.
who don't want free
Mm-hmm.
money?
We all need some
Agree.
extra dollars, okay?
Yes. Yes. So, just to
Yeah.
wrap up that conversation, definitely create that account and make sure you're checking it every year for any discrepancies. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
Know what you're earning,
It's,
know what you have.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And before we wrap up, I did have a question to you guys, because all of us seem to be very knowledgeable about around finances and different things of that sort. I don't know if it's based on how you were brought up, your childhood, early adulthood and all that good stuff. But for me, I'm not gonna say for me, but for me and maybe a couple other people in my family, my immediate family, we are what folks would call first generational wealthy, right?
Hmm.
And so with that comes a lot of things. And so my question to you guys is, if you are, or kind of in your stance of where your status of where you are today in your financial journey, and if you're considered first generational wealthy, like what are some of the things that you've done or you're doing to protect what you've built, right? Because we know at times people like to make us feel guilty about our success and kind of what we've done for ourselves and our family. And so, what are you doing to protect that and to overcome that feeling of guilt that you may sometimes have?
Um, so what I've had to do, right, because I would overcompensate for my guilt, I would just give in to my family and give them, or feel guilty like that I had the ability to do something, and then I would just pay for something and So what I've learned to do is just to say no, right? Because
Mhm.
I have to make sure, as being a first generation person that owns my own home, like, I'm very proud of myself for doing that, that we own our own home. Um, and that we have to prepare for our children as well. So in order for us to continue this and break the cycle, we have to also educate our children and make sure that we are setting a good example of how we're spending money and how we're navigating life. So that's what I've been doing, is just having those financial conversations with my children and letting them understand the value of a dollar and saying no to family.
So for me, what I like to do to protect my generational wealth, starting with that question, is I like to just continuously invest, keep
Mhm.
abreast as to what's going on in the market, or as to the market. So like
Mhm.
if like right now it's a good time to put your money into the bank, so whatever cash you have, instead of having it laying around in a savings account that you're not drawing any interest, now's the best time to put your money into an interest bearing account, or a good interest bearing account. So that's one
Mhm.
of the things I like to do with keeping that generational wealth going, is by
Mhm.
just keeping abreast as to what's going on. And how do you do that? Listening to podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts out there that give it really good advice.
Mhm.
On Bigger Pockets is one of my favorite ones, but it gives a lot of good advice
Mhm.
about investing, and or investing in real estate, and it just keeps
Mhm.
you up to date with what's going on. Another thing I like to do is watch some YouTube channels,
Mhm.
like the ones we have, just talking about different things that they like to do, or different ways that they're looking to save, or how they're saving. And those are the things that I pretty much do to keep the generational wealth going, and just constantly thinking. You never stop learning and growing, right? So I'm
Mhm.
always looking for ways to um increase my knowledge, ways to learn more. So I think that if people continue to do that, they can definitely keep on the right path. Another way that I and what I do to protect it, and as far as like not feeling guilty with others, is I'm not big on sharing um financial
Mhm.
information. And when I say financial information, I mean my personal financial information. There's a lot of people
Mhm.
that believe in throwing around numbers, and oh, I make
Mhm.
this, or I do this, and oh this, and I just really I don't like to get involved in all that. I have a lot of friends, a ton of friends, and we never
Mhm.
talk about money. I don't sit on
Mhm.
the phone and talk about money with them. We talk about a lot of other things, but we don't, they say there's a saying that money talks and wealth whispers. So I feel like when you
Okay.
have money, you don't have to be that person that say, oh, you know what, I have
Mhm.
money. And so it won't make you feel guilty, because people
Okay.
won't look at you in that type of way. And I've learned that jealousy comes from that type of thing. And a person may not be a jealous person, but because
Mhm.
if you're someone who constantly talks about what you're doing and how I'm doing this and I'm doing that,
Mhm.
and then you're not pouring that out into someone else. So, meaning like, if I'm not giving someone else or trying to help someone else come to where I am, then
Mhm.
it could cause jealousy, because
Yeah.
this person here have a need, but every time I come around, I'm not thinking about their need. I know they're in need, but I'm just talking about everything I have. So for me, I think that that's what has helped me, um and I'm going to continue that way. So
Okay. That's fair. So what do you do in the instances of like people seeing the car you drive, people seeing the house you live in, or if you're posting, well, I know for you, you don't really post on social
No.
media, but when people are implying about the money that you have based on what they've seen that you have, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does, and that's a good question. That's a really good question. So for me, I do have people that joke and say, Fab, I
Mm-hmm.
know you over there in that nice house, and I know you have that nice car, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I kind of just like laugh it off. But I'm always
Mm-hmm.
pouring into to individuals and into people
Mm-hmm.
that I don't feel guilty, because I'm always selflessly like giving. to others,
Mm-hmm.
and telling someone else what they can do to make themselves better. So I
Right.
can, just to be honest, I haven't had an issue where a friend has
Mm-hmm.
felt some type of way being around me. I have some that joke and say this, but then I'm also so giving to them that it's just like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
issue. There's no, I never feel like there's a competition amongst us,
Right.
because if I have something that's going to make you better, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
sharing it. So there's no room for them to be upset or angry or even feel some kind of way, because they always just look at me like, Fab, so humble. Because I just be like, listen, if I got it and I can help you, and
Mm-hmm.
here we go, and that's it. So I think that just if anyone's struggling with that, I would say the number one thing to alleviate that is just like,
Mm.
be a giver. And a giver is
Yeah.
not necessarily monetary, right? A giving
Right.
can also be just you giving of your time, you
Mm-hmm.
giving information, not just
Mm-hmm.
keeping information to yourself. And one thing
Right.
I believe in, it's, a lot of the stuff, some people call it the law of attraction. I call it the biblical principle, right? If you what you plant, that's what you're gonna reap.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hold
That's true.
information, guess what? Somebody one day gonna hold some information that you really need. They're not gonna give
Right.
it to you. So giving is just a huge thing. I mean, to me, just share, and more share. I think that's what helps. So
Okay.
thank you for that
Have you
question.
ever?
That's really good.
No, it's good. Tashiku, did you have anything you want to follow up on? Have you ever felt the guilt from potentially something you've posted on social media, or just people implying what you have based on what they see?
I don't know if it's maybe it's guilt, but it's maybe it's older sibling syndrome or something, as feeling like
Mm-hmm.
the older sibling, that you feel
Mm-hmm.
obligated, or in a sense like, okay, I did it, like let me,
Mhm.
Right.
um let me help my siblings out. But what I'm learning now, like Fab said, let me teach you something. Let me give you some
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. Let me educate you how
Mhm.
to do this.
Right.
And then you'll quickly learn that some people don't want that education. They just want the,
Mm-mm.
the monetary value.
Mhm.
They
Mm-hmm.
see you as their personal ATM sometimes. So
And I feel like, Tashika, if we, are you really setting someone up for success if you're just handing them the money?
Right.
no.
Mm-hmm.
And I always apply things biblically, but I mean, what did Peter tell a man at the gate of beautiful? Silver and gold have I none. Such I have
Mm.
give I thee. I don't have no money for you, is what he was saying. But
Right.
I do have the word for you. I have something else. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to give the person money, but you can, look into,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, you know what? I feel like this person is good. Like, girl, you do a really good job doing this. Let's look into some
Mm-hmm.
things to help you. Or
Yeah.
let me fix your resume for you so that you
Right.
can go and do this. And, so I feel like that you're not setting anyone up for success by just giving to
Mm-hmm.
them. But if you point them in the direction of it, and if they don't take it, then you know that you can't help that person, and that's just
Right.
it. And that's when I'm really not gonna tell you what's going on with me.
Yeah.
I don't want you thinking that I
Right.
need to be giving you anything. I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
you want to shut down them coming into your pocket. You gotta stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's usually what I do. If it
So
gets to that
busy,
point,
yes. Tell us what you do.
yeah, because I mean, for me, I'm just like you guys. I will share resources, I will
Yes,
share tools, I will give advice. But the moment I feel like it's not something that you want, or you are unappreciative of my grace, then I have no words,
yes,
I'm just gonna wash my hands of the situation and keep it moving, because you have some people, they don't want the information or the resources that you're trying to share. They just want that financial or that monetary
hmm,
gain and things of that sort. And then if you don't give it to them, they still want to try to make you feel guilty. But what I've learned over the years, you're not going to make me feel guilty about the life that I've built for my family and I. There's absolutely no way. I sleep
right,
good at night saying no if it comes to a no. And if I have it to give, I will give.
yes,
If I have it to give and I don't want to give, I won't give.
Okay,
It just
yes,
depends on the situation. But I'm
yes.
not gonna let somebody make me feel guilty about what it is that I built for my family and my ecosystem. There's absolutely no way.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 times out of 10, if you're one of those people, you're not gonna be around me anyway. So
Yeah.
I just remove myself from those types of situations. But that's interesting, and I'm not a sharer either, but some aspects of my life I do have to share on social media. For one, I'm a travel agent. I get a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
business from social media and things like that. And so I do share those things, mostly not in real time, but I do
Mm-hmm.
share them. And, people just, they do what they do.
Yeah,
So
it's a good
ain't nothing I
answer.
can do about that.
Yes,
But
yes,
that's interesting though. But as it relates to like the first generational part, I think you hit a spot on, Fab. Like that constant education, because we know that laws change, codes change of how
yes.
you need to report certain things, how it needs to be listed and registered and all that good stuff. And so really just understanding that you have to be curious and continue to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think also too, another thing that's important is having those conversations with your ecosystem about what it
Yes.
is that you want, what are your desires when you are no longer able to execute. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have those conversations about when you're maybe incapacitated or something like that, or you're no longer here,
Those are
right?
important.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that having those conversations with your loved ones about how you want things to go on when you're no longer able to execute, what are your desires for the things that you guys have built, whether you built it independently or you built it together. I think having those
Mm-hmm.
conversations is really great, and instilling the habit and the discipline into those that you're planning to take over once you're no longer to is important as well. Like you may give them all the knowledge, but if they haven't built that muscle, then it's
Yes.
like
It's just, yeah,
you
it's
did
just,
it for nothing, right? And so I think
Agreed.
having those conversations is important too.
I also
I
would
think that
say that,
that's really good that you're saying that, Missy. Not to cut you off, Tashiko, but I was thinking, okay, while you were talking, I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
what we'll put in our next episode for everyone. We'll talk about wheels because I know I'm guilty of it. Do I have one in place? I do not. So that's important. A lot of people die without wheels, and I've heard so many
Mm-hmm.
horror stories when
Oh,
it comes to
absolutely.
individuals passing away without a wheel. A lot of people, a lot of, let's just say Black Americans, we
Mm-hmm.
look at wheels
Yeah,
as
our
saying,
community.
I'm going to die. And that does
Mm-hmm.
not mean that
They
you're
don't
going to
want to
pass
talk.
away. A lot
Mm-mm.
of
They don't
wealthy
want to have
people
those
say,
conversations.
yes, they're like, put my stuff in a wheel. Let's have
Mm-hmm.
this going on. Because one thing I've learned that if you have that wheel, you don't have to worry about
Mm-hmm.
people fighting over what you have. So that
Right.
everybody stay tuned. That's gonna be our next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Tashika, you
it'll
were
be a
saying?
we'll
yeah,
it'll
just
be an upcoming
piggybacking off
episode.
of you guys, having an emergency binder, like what
Mm-hmm.
gave me that idea is there was when we first moved in the neighborhood, there was a funeral home director that came and knocked on and was like, hey, let's, have you ever thought about this? I
Mm-hmm.
see you're a young couple. And he gave us a folder. And then this
Mm-hmm.
folder had all the steps that you would need to do. It even
Right.
had like a card. So say you were in a car accident and like you picked them, like
Mm-hmm.
it said exactly what you wanted to do in that moment, something you can have in your wallet. And then, for your significant other or your family, this folder that had everything that you need to help transition things. So it
Wow.
wasn't like a wheel, but it just said like, some people also like when you die or you're married, your spouse, you get their social security or you get some type of compensation for
Mm-hmm.
that. Like this folder had everything, like so that
Wow.
Right.
so that it like it's something to set up so that because when someone's dying, you're grieving and you're not thinking straight because you're not in
Right.
the right
Right.
state of mind. But having
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to somewhat be you'll never be prepared, but
Hmm.
Right.
have next steps. Like okay, I know, and that just allows you to help
Mm-hmm.
help your loved ones. Yeah. So it's a way to still watch over them when you're not
Yeah.
there.
That's
So
Yeah,
good.
and
Good
speaking of
information.
that, I do have something that's kind of similar. Um, it's not into the stink where it has like a wheel, but you can definitely always add that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so for, it's like a family binder, and it's
Okay.
made by this woman. I think her name of her company is Smart Mama Moves or something like that. I'll link it in the show notes for you guys. It's
That's
something that
good.
I actually use. And so what it has is like all of your accounts, the kids stuff, like what groups they're a part of, who's their doctors, their allergies, and different things like that. The insurance, where to find the passwords, everything, like everything you keep in your mommy brain, you
Yeah.
could basically
Yes.
dump it in there. And should something happen to you or your spouse where you're no longer able to take care of your kids and your family, it's just like this is for blank family, and you can
Mm-hmm.
start there to execute. But like I said, it doesn't have a wheel, but it has like where you can list your insurance policies, who the insurance is with, and all of that good stuff. And I'm pretty sure you can just add the wheel into that as well. And so the premise is you would fill all of that information out. Yes, it's going to be time consuming up front, and then I would suggest yearly updating it
Mm-hmm.
as things change. And once you update it, you have a digital copy, you have a hard copy for your family somewhere in the house, and then you have a physical copy with someone that you trust should
Okay.
something was to happen. And it's a lot of work putting it together, but it's definitely worth it because a lot is happening, and parents go off on a vacation and sometimes never come back, right? And so
Yeah,
you want to be able to have those next steps in place, so to speak. But
that's
like I said,
good.
I'll list it in the description box and I'll share it with you guys too. Um, it's a great, real helpful tool.
It's
Yeah.
good.
All right.
Good
All right, ladies.
information.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of stuff. Budgets, gave a lot audience a lot of tips and tricks to use. Anything else you want to guys want to add before we get out of here?
Just want to say, take these resources that we're giving out. The credit part, make sure you're looking at your credit as far as if you're in debt, try to use some of these ways. Let us know if any of them worked for you. We know that a lot of these have been around for a long time, but sometimes bringing them to the
Mm-hmm.
forefront for everyone to hear
Yeah.
again, it's really, really good. And
Mm-hmm.
just let us know how it worked for you. Let us know how any of these things, what Missy just talked about in regards to the mommy thing, and what Tashiko talked about in regards to the funeral folder or binder. I think that that's really good. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know funerals had those type of things. So you may want to look into your local funeral and see if they have one of those for you to stop by and pick up and have. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely take all the information that we're giving and the resources that we're giving today and use them, and let us know down in the comment section how it worked out for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. All right, guys, I just wanted to remind you one more time about our
Woo!
raffle. We will list all of the eligibility requirements in the show notes. Make sure you are doing your part to get some of these goodies that we're going to be giving away. All right. Until then, we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Oh.